just emerging from chaos, the heaven and earth were still desolate and silent. Pangu, with his mighty power, separated the primordial chaos. His body transformed into mountains, rivers, the sun, the moon and the stars, and since then the world had its basic outline. The clear and turbid Qi rose and fell, separating. The light yang Qi floated up to form the sky, while the heavy yin Qi sank to form the earth. Between heaven and earth, winds and clouds changed, lightning flashed and thunder rumbled, as if it were the passionate drumbeats at the beginning of creation. Mountains and rivers crisscrossed, peaks and ridges undulated. Some soared into the clouds, seemingly vying with the firmament, some stretched for thousands of miles, bearing the weight of the earth. Rivers rushed on ceaselessly, and lakes were quiet and deep, nourishing every inch of the earth's surface. The sun and the moon hung alternately in the sky, casting light and coldness, bringing about the alternation of day and night and the cycle of the 4 seasons. However, in the vast expanse of heaven and earth, there was only one kind of creature lacking, the being that could dominate all things and possess infinite wisdom. Nuwa, the goddess with miraculous power and boundless compassion, strolled in this somewhat lonely world, and a special thought sprang up in her heart. One day, Nuwa came to a winding river bank. The clear river water sparkled, and on both sides of the bank was the soft and moist yellow clay, emitting a simple and unadorned aura under the sunlight. Nuwa stopped by the river. She was dressed in a plain long skirt, the hem of which fluttered gently in the wind. She slowly crouched down, and her slender yet powerful fingers, like lively paintbrushes, gently probed into the soft yellow clay. The river water gurgled pleasantly, as if playing a prelude to the impending miracle. The river's surface reflected Nuwa's beautiful and solemn face, with a glimmer of anticipation on it, as if the river was also silently witnessing the arrival of this great moment. Nuwa first picked up a lump of yellow clay. In her palm, the clay seemed to have a sense of life and gave off a faint warmth. She began to knead it carefully, her fingers turning nimbly, sometimes pressing lightly, sometimes pinching. Every movement was full of concentration and deep affection. Her gaze was fixed firmly on the clay in her hands, as if she was going to weave all her expectations and love for life, as well as her endless wisdom and creativity, strand by strand into this lump of earth. As she kneaded, the yellow clay gradually took shape in her hands, and the outline of a human figure first emerged. First, the small head slowly formed, with a smooth and full forehead, as if containing infinite inspiration. Then came the slender limbs, and the textures of the fingers and toes were clearly visible, as if they were born to touch all things in this world. And there was also the straight torso. Though still small, it had a sense of strength to support life. Every detail was like a meticulously carved work of art, showing Nuwa's ingenuity. When the first clay figure was molded, Nuwa carefully placed it on the ground. Suddenly, a strange light flashed, and the originally lifeless clay figure seemed to be infused with the purest soul from heaven and earth. Its eyes slowly opened, clear and innocent, like a limpid spring, reflecting this novel world. Its small mouth opened and closed slightly, uttering the first tender cry, "Mother!" The voice was clear and loud, like the sound of nature, echoing in the empty heaven and earth, like a ray of dawn breaking through the silence, instantly filling this originally somewhat silent world with vitality and warmth. The clay figure stretched its limbs, first tentatively moving its fingers, then slowly propping itself up and starting to toddle on the ground. Although its steps were unsteady and wobbly, they were full of the desire to explore this new world, and each step was full of fearlessness and curiosity, as if it couldn't wait to measure this vast expanse of heaven and earth. Nuwa's eyes were instantly filled with love and joy, and the light shining in them was even brighter than the stars in the sky. She bent down slightly and responded softly to the clay figure's call. Her voice was as gentle as the spring breeze, gently brushing past the clay figure's ears. She tenderly named it human. This cry of mother seemed to start a grand movement of life. The musical notes jumped and spread in the air, deeply touching Nuwa's heart and strengthening her determination to create humans. From then on, she never tired. Day after day, when the first light of dawn shone, she would come to the river bank and start the work of molding humans from clay. When the setting sun cast its afterglow on her in the evening, draping her in a golden veil, she was still intently shaping one life after another. The yellow clay by the river constantly changed its shape in her hands, as if it had magic. One after another, vivid lives came into being. Look, over there, a clay figure had just landed on the ground and immediately grinned and started running merrily into the distance. Its eyes were attracted by the majestic mountains in the distance, as if it could hear the mountains calling it to explore the flying waterfalls, flowing springs, rare flowers and strange plants in the mountains and uncover the secrets hidden deep in the valleys. And here, several clay figures huddled closely around Nuwa. They looked up at her with their small faces, their eyes full of dependence and attachment. They tugged at the corner of Nuwa's clothes, seemingly acting coquettishly or seeking shelter, and chattered away in childish voices, as if sharing with Nuwa their initial perceptions and feelings of this world. Looking at these children she had created with her own hands, Nuwa's face was beaming with a gratified smile. Although the long hours of labor had made her a little tired, her heart was full of joy. She knew that this once somewhat lonely heaven and earth would become lively and full of laughter because of these lovely lives, and that humans would also start their own legendary stories and write their own glorious chapters on this land. As time passed, Nuwa created more and more humans. They scattered to every corner of the world. Some built houses by the river and started a farming life, some chased wild beasts and learned hunting skills, some gathered together and communicated in simple languages, sharing their discoveries with each other. Looking at all this, Nuwa deeply understood that what she had created was not only individual lives, but also a future full of hope and infinite possibilities. And she would always guard these children and accompany them through the long journey of the years.